Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today it is my special privilege and honor to welcome my guest, Daniel Umstead, founder of the Robert Nathaniel Group. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. It is my special privilege and honor to bring to you this amazing guest, Daniel Umstead. He is the founder of the Robert Nathaniel Group and host of the RNG radio show. I've been anticipating this interview for quite a while, ever since we first put it on the books a couple weeks ago. Daniel, thank you so much for sacrificing your time and being willing to join me and share your message with my audience.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor and pleasure. And it's funny you should mention as far as, anticipation. When we connected, it was just off of Facebook. So, days later, here we are right now. So really just honored, man. Really honored.
Yeah. I love it that we have that opportunity to, because outside of social media, you and I more than likely would never, ever cross paths, just, even by virtue of living in different parts of the country. But because we have such similar interests and drives and goals and all those things that kind of have brought us into each other's world, and we get to connect this way, I think is pretty amazing and a phenomenal testimony to our levels of technology. So it's cool. And I've been super excited to get to talk to you today. So sweet.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Same here.
Tell us about, because it is a little bit of I would say a nondescript name. Tell us about the Robert Nathaniel Group. What is it that you do? What caused you to found this? And what is it that drives that group forward?
Yeah, absolutely. The why is actually in the name in itself. So Robert Nathaniel is just basic and simple. It's my middle name and my son's middle name. So really everything that I'm doing for the Robert Nathaniel Group is really just a testament to him, creating that generational wealth. And I do that in many facets. You mentioned before, RNG radio show. That's a podcast / YouTube, similar to this, bringing guests on to pretty much promote their brands and services. So if anybody's looking, to get more insight, by all means, definitely check out my website, danielumstead.com. But on the show, I bring guests on to talk about what they do. Past episodes have been talking about credit repair, real estate, since I am a realtor. In addition, some motivation for success. But really, the main things that are under the Robert Nathaniel Group are the resume writing services, which I started back about 10 years ago, but officially put a name to everything about 3 years ago with the Robert Nathaniel Group. The real estate, being a realtor here out in Philadelphia, and then what else? And then, of course, the RNG radio show.
Right. That's awesome. That sounds like you've got your plate full a little bit. And if I remember correctly from our initial, you're like learning several languages at the same time, right? Just as a side personal improvement kind of plan, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shouting out to Duolingo for that. Working on French. Spanish, it's just a must-have. I'm in the Philadelphia area. I remember being at Walmart one time, and this was just long before. I was told in 6th grade. So
right.
Plus 10 years ago, I was told that, hey, you're going to need to learn Spanish. And of course, I'm like, whatever. But now being at this age and just hearing, Spanish to the left and right of me when I go out, and it's just for business purposes. It's definitely a passion of mine to learn new languages, but when you tie it to something such as your business or such as your personal growth and development, it just helps and exceeds so much more. So it's French, Spanish, and Chinese right now. So basic greetings, but anything past that, it's like, okay.
Google Translate. Yeah. That is awesome. And it's funny that you said that, because we live in South Florida, and I took my boys to their first professional soccer game, which is the Inter Miami professional team. It was their last game of the season. And it was the same thing. I mean, soccer is naturally a huge in South America, just in general. But of course, now being in South Florida and combined, I think, we were definitely the minority as far as non-Spanish speakings of the audience. And it's just fascinating, because you're absolutely right. If you want to expand your ability and opportunity to do business with a wider range of people and industries, learning a second, third, and fourth languages are absolute must. So that's pretty amazing that you're doing that. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So you mentioned about resume writing. Is that kind of how you got your start, and then everything else kind of bloomed out of that, or did you start as a realtor? Were they like coincidental with each other? Like, because they're not very, at least to me, they don't seem very connected in their, I guess, targets and audience.
No, 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 absolutely. So yeah, the resume writing started as a favor for somebody. So back in 2007, of course, the world was a different place back then.
It
I was starting
was.
at a nonprofit, and I had a friend of mine who I went to college with, and I was a little boastful because I had my college degree, I had my BA, and I was still trying to find my place in the world, what I wanted to do. And he had asked me, he's like, "Hey, the Department of Veteran Affairs has this position open. You should apply for it too. And but can you help me out with my resume for it?" I'm like, I mean, I could put something together. I've never done this before. I mean, I've
Right,
done my
right.
own resume, but yeah, sure, I can help you out. Not thinking that he would get the job because I did a fantastic job on his resume. And ever
Yeah,
since then, I think I want to say for like the next year or two, because the job was through usajobs.gov. And for those that
right.
work for the government, know any type of reference is always, well, just go to the website. I'm pretty sure they'll pick you up. So that's what he gave me for the next 2 years while I was still finding my place in the world. But from then, it was just always, I've led this pathway of career services, being in the recruiting and staffing industry. And it's just always been a supplement, not only to my own personal income, but just to helping others. I always don't charge for the services with resume writing. It's just always that guidance and helping people see like, hey, you need to change this, or this should be formatted, or you should only be using Times New Roman size 12, which I can't tell you how many times people use Arial and all these other fun fonts. But yeah,
Right.
the goal with the resume writing services is in itself just helping those individuals realize their potential. I never utilize somebody who's in a supervisor position and keep that same format. They should always be seeking something higher. So I'm always looking for, the director, or, somebody that's like overseeing a department, VP, and copying that format of that resume and applying it to theirs. So everybody's doing the same job. It's just maybe numbers are a little bit different. But
That's
yeah,
really cool.
but real estate came along, Kale, when I was starting the wholesaling venture, where people are like, "Yeah, all you need is a piece of paper, get them to sign, and resell the contract to an investor." And I'm like, I could so do that. And then I felt
Easy.
like I was lying and stealing from people because you were hearing stories like, "Oh, I made 50,000 off of this contract, or 60,000 off of that," and it wasn't until I actually spoke with the realtor as far as what I was trying to do, and he's like, what do you really want to do? Like, if you're here to make money, knock yourself out, do 5 deals and enjoy. But what are you looking to actually do? Like, do you want to build your own brokerage? I was like, you can do that? I thought you had to like have years of experience. And he's like, nah, it's 3 years in the game. And then after that, you can start your own branding. So that really what led me down the pathway of becoming a realtor. And then eventually, what I'm currently working on right now is looking at law school, focusing on real estate law. Because back when it was cool, well, it's still cool to meet folks in person, but when it was really, really cool to
Yeah.
meet folks in person without having to mask up, everybody would say, no matter who the presenter was, no matter who was talking, they always mention, in addition to finding, a good mortgage lender, you need to speak with an attorney. And
Right.
mortgage lenders was raising their hands left and right, like, "Oh yeah, I can help you out with that," or "Our rates are pretty good." Nobody raised their hand saying they were an attorney. So my force, or I should say my value, now that I'm looking towards these meetings, especially fingers crossed when I'm shooting for Rutgers, when they do give me that
Nice.
acceptance, is just saying, "Hey, I'm currently in law school, focused on real estate law to benefit others," and something near and dear to me is helping those individuals, and that's what I heard a lot too, starting off in real estate. Hey, my mother passed away, we're going through the pathonetary court system, in order to
Right.
get the name switched over. I really don't have a decent lawyer I can reach out to. I'm like, can you wait 4 to 5 years, because at that point in
Yeah.
time I should have enough under my belt to help you out. But it's really just using that to benefit others. And it's like, hey, being a lawyer, speaking 3 languages, who can I not help at that point?
Yeah. Yeah. That is incredible. That little journey, which of course just spanned years of your life, but it gives us a peek into kind of really your heart, and that your heart is to serve people. Even starting as simple as a buddy, and being willing to, because resume writing is It's not exciting, right? There's nothing like, woohoo, I get to, you're not writing the next, Harry Potter or Dragon novel or anything like that. But it's something that you're actually serving people that is tangibly benefiting their life. And I think that's phenomenal to get that peek into you. And I did want to put you on the spot a little bit with regards to that, because you'd mentioned the Times New Roman. What are 2 tips besides the Times New Roman that you can give the audience that may be in the position? Because, right, we're in not as bad as 7, 8 level, but we're starting to enter a little bit, as people are, searching for jobs, getting back in the workforce, all those types of things, writing resumes. What are 2 tips that you can give people easy that they can just to really help dial in their resumes as they're going out?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first one, leave your leave your full address off of your resume. There's some creepers out there now, companies that are literally just sourcing, or they're checking out. A past company I used to work for, a couple of the guys and gals would literally be pulling people's addresses just to search them. I'm not going to say the company, and it was my most recent company, so feel free to scour LinkedIn, and I don't even think the company's listed on there. But literally what they would do is look at people's addresses to see where they lived at. And it had nothing to do with the job. It had nothing to do with their background. It was just, oh, this person lives here, or, oh, they got a really nice house. And it's like, what is the purpose of that? So take it off, leave your city and state. And adding to that, and this is still all in the same tip, if you're planning to move to Tampa, Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, put down West Palm Beach, Florida. Don't put down Philadelphia, PA, because that's an immediate rejection on our part as recruiters and consultants, is that when we see a position specifically saying this job is in Chicago, Illinois, and you're showing Topeka, Kansas, it's automatic rejection. I don't care what your experience is like. The other tip, which has actually been around since they started applicant tracking systems, and get a pen and paper because you're going to want to do this now. Take the job description, pull some of the keywords from there, copy that, put it at the bottom of your resume in a footer, have it as small as possible, size 1.5 if you can, make the font wide as possible so it doesn't show. When you are submitting your application, that applicant tracking system is going to look for those keywords. And once it shows and gives a green light to said recruiter or employer, they're going to be like, oh, this person looks interesting, and move you forward. You're not that's how you beat the system. That's how you beat Skynet from a Terminator fans.
You just blew my mind, man, because these are things that the average Joe and Jane, they have no clue about this kind of stuff unless you talk to people that are doing, like you said, doing this game or in this game, and they understand the process and the tips and tricks. Thank you for that. That's incredible. I know there are people that are listening that are going to be like, man, I'm updating my resume right now for these jobs that they're going for. That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
And
Wow.
it's still, and no matter what people think, I know we're going into a recession, blah, blah, blah. We're still, listen, I still have a job. There's other recruiting and staffing agencies that have jobs. So if anything, we're hiring the people who are the future leaders of tomorrow that are going to be hiring these hundreds and thousands of individuals. So put yourself out there, make yourself known. And the best way to do it, either get in contact with me or just do the tips that I provided just to give you a head start.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. Man, that's I think if people get nothing else out of this interview, those 2 tips alone can be game changers for them.
All right, well, I'm done. I'll see you later.
Incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Stamp, let's go. I did want to transition a little bit because, of course, it's a little bit of a hot topic, and I'm sure you probably talk about a lot with this, in the changing real estate market and rising interest rates and all those kinds of things. What's the real truth that you're seeing? And of course, in your market, Philadelphia market, what's the real truth that you're seeing with regards to that?
Honestly, it's just finding the right deals. Somebody put it the best way possible. Consider this to be Black Friday. A sale is going on, so you're going to need to look for the right deals. There are sellers that need to move because of their job or because of personal circumstances. Yes, is there a step away from those sellers who were just kicking tires just to see what their house is worth and possibly relocating to elsewhere? By all means, definitely. But there are still those who are desperate. Maybe there was a death in the family. Maybe, somebody lost a sibling. God forbid somebody lost a child, and, they just can't be in that household anymore because it reminds them of some stuff. So still continue on, still look on. For the fact that I've been through maybe 3 or 4 recessions right now. This is the best time. And just a little tidbit for those investors out there, this is where you make your money at. So if anything, be happy, be excited that chicken costs $20 a pound right now, because it eventually is only going to get better, and there will be an upside to this. It may be a struggle right now, and Dollar Tree may be the only thing that you should be focusing on for the next couple of weeks. But in the long run, 3-4 years from now, people are going to be like, wow, I made a lot of money during the recession. I'm so glad, because now that $1 million 10-unit apartment building is now worth 600,000, but an investor is willing to pay 700,000 for it. That's an instant 100 grand right there. So continue to look for these deals. Don't give up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very similar to the 7-8. Yes. The people that were put themselves in the position to take advantage of that, they did very well for themselves in the following years, right? And this is a very similar thing, I would imagine, to that. So yeah, that's cool. That's good. That's some really good tips, and kind of the even keel response of it's not really time to freak out, because the world's still turning, right? Like you said, natural events happen. People relocate all the time. Houses come for sale and are bought every day in America, all across the world. That's cool. Good. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm not directly involved in that real estate world, and most people aren't, and they don't necessarily have people that they can go to when they're thinking about these types of things. Like, man, do I even want to go after that job across country? And I don't know if I can afford a house and, to relocate and do all those things. And to hear that from somebody who's in the thick of it, this is literally your career. This is what you make your living at. I think that's very reassuring for a lot of people. So cool. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Now, I wanted to ask, as we, again, transition a little bit, as you're going through, man, we could have this podcast for like 2 or 3 hours just talking about all the different things that you've got going on, and the directions that you're wanting to take your life and things, and how you can serve people. But what have you got going on in the near term right now? Are you focused, solely on staying in the game with real estate while you prep for your inevitable Rutgers, walking through the door of Rutgers Law? Like, what's your focus right now? What projects do you have coming up? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few things, just a few things. So in addition to learning the languages of the world and focusing on law school, the other thing I'm a part of, and this is advice for those who are getting into real estate. It took me 3 years, folks, 3 years. So I want to cut 3 years. If you're looking to get into real estate in any way, fashion, or form, get with a team. I recently teamed up with 2 individuals, William Madison and Cedric Marlowe, and they were already starting this podcast called Building Blocks for Apartment Investing. My value, I don't have any capital to give. I don't have any deals on my table to provide. But when I clicked on a link that Will had provided, which was supposed to be his website, I'm like, hey, you don't have a website. Can I help out with that in any way? I did my own, and they're like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free. So I turned from this spectator, if you will, into the marketing director for Building Blocks for Apartment Investing. So try to find some type of value. I recently was a speaker for Mike Morawski's Multifamily Summit. The biggest thing that they have mentioned was underwriting. I was sitting on a panel with 2 other real estate investors. One was 7 million assets under management. The other one was 20 million assets under management. And they've been doing this. One was since 2017, the one for 7 million. The other one was since 2007, the one with 20 million. And their biggest thing was, I hated doing it, but underwriting was key, because people will just pay strictly for underwriters to know that language, what a T12 is supposed to look like, what the rent roll is supposed to look like in that area. So for me, what does Daniel look like? I should say in the next 6 months, you're looking at a law school, a potential 1L starting at Rutgers. Another book is going to be coming out, Order the Process, Trust the Process. I need to get some stuff done first before making that happen. Folks don't think it's just me, with all these things going on, Robert Nathaniel Group. I do work a 9 to 5, but I recently came back from a conference where they're training us to be partners within the executive search firm. So that's part of that timeline. And let's see, I want to say that's it. And of course, continuously helping folks along the way in regards to resume writing. But definitely my big thing that needs to be focused on is talking to people, whether it be for real estate or whether it be for work. And the other one is, searching for that next deal.
I have to back up for a second, but did you just slip in that you were writing a book or a second book? Did you just like nonchalantly add that in?
Little bit. So
back up and expand, like 30-second soundbite. Like, what are we talking about with this?
all right. So there's a story behind the first book. It was an anthology. A friend of mine who I've been knowing, I want to say about 5 or 6 years. We haven't even met each other in person. Talked on the phone as if we've been knowing each other for years on end. But she reached out to me and said, "Hey, Daniel, I'm putting an anthology together. It's called Pivot, Thriving in Changing Times." And I'm like, great. I was like, you need me to help with a flyer? You need me to help support it? No, I need you to help me write I need you to write a chapter to support the book. And I'm like, this is my first book. What do I talk about? What do I say? What do I do? And it took me, I want to say, in the span of 2 minutes. Now, it didn't take me 2 minutes to write the book, but it took me 2 minutes from the moment that she called and said, let me know and get back to me. I remember sitting on the bed, my fiance, who in 16 days will be my wife, had asked me, well, what are you going to write about? I was like, I don't know. So I called her back immediately. I'm like, I don't know what to write, Janice. So what am I supposed to write? She was like, talk about something that happened in your life that helped you pivot towards becoming greater. So I was like, man, I got 20 million stories for that. But the biggest thing was, and I'm still honored to share this stage, there was a person who beat metastatic cancer 3 times. Another gentleman, he was in a triathlon. You have this other woman who's a project manager in construction, was going to work in pain because she had some type of disease. Another person who was on the Cheney University Basketball of Fame. So all these great individuals, all these great wonders. And here me, I'm just talking about how I took 7 classes and worked 2 part-time jobs to graduate college. But when you put it together with everybody else, what you realize after reading this book, which you can find on Amazon, Pivot, Thriving in Changing Times, under Janice Coleman. But what I've realized is that when you are under pressure, and this is how diamonds are formed, but when you are under pressure and a lot of heat, you are unstoppable. And that goes for anybody listening, watching this podcast. Please do not tell yourself different, because if you are, you're right. If you think you can't do it, you're right. But if you think you can, watch out. Here comes the new you.
Yeah. That's really cool. Congrats. That's so neat to be open to those opportunities and then just jump into them. Like, totally ill prepared, right? You weren't a published author ahead of time, but you're just like, again, I'm willing to serve. I'm willing to share my story, knowing that people out there are in similar situations to you, and you're the relatable one. They may not be able to relate to the triathlon runner. They may not be able to relate to, cancer survivors and things like that, but they can relate to you. And it's your job to get that story out there. So congratulations, man. That's cool. But you didn't say anything about your second book. That was all. What's going? Yeah.
So the second book is a work in progress, because I'm actually the progress right now. So Order the Process, Trust the Process will pretty much be an action steps book in order to get to, where you're looking at to be in life. And I'm just going to be utilizing myself as an example. So by the time the book has been published, I've already been accepted to Rutgers. I'll already be fluent in speaking the 3 languages, French, Spanish, Chinese. I'll already be in some type of promotion with my current job. I will already have, a slew. I'm looking for at least one, but looking for a slew of multifamily deals underneath my belt. And really, with Order the Process, the formula is simple. Write down today what you want to accomplish tomorrow. That's it. If tomorrow is, well, I'm going to spend 15 minutes reading this book, write it down, cross it off once you're done, and that's it. You're only going to get better over time. But if you have your brain tell you that, oh yeah, we're going to work on this, and this tomorrow, well, guess what? This, and this is going to come up blocking you. My son got sick this morning. I was supposed to have met with a potential colleague. he had a change of plans. So it was like, well, what am I supposed to do now that I have a whole, 2 hours, because I had to drive him over to his mom's, so he could get, better taken care of, because I had to get back to work and get everything scrambled. But when you have free time, that is the worst, because your comfort zone is your own worst enemy. And that's pretty much what's going to be taught in the book. But I've been using this fun little device here, voice recorder, to take care of my notes. So
Yeah,
once that's compiled and put in order and all these things have been accomplished that I just said, then the book will be available.
that is cool, man. Congratulations on that. That's incredible.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
you're
thank you, thank you.
you're man, your snowball is just gaining traction and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I love it. Yeah, that's really neat. So amongst all those things that you've got going on, what and people, I know there are people right now that are listening to this and they're like, I gotta know more about this guy. I gotta get in his world. And it absolutely could be possible that they're in your area. How do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to make contact with you, get into your world? Like, what's the best way for them to reach or follow you?
Yeah, if you are an introvert, which most folks tend to be, go to danielumstead.com. There's a contact us page. If you fill that out, I will get an email and put down whatever you want to talk about. I don't want to limit myself to resume writing, uh, motivation, or even just real estate. I just want to talk to you. My passion and goal in life is to create a million millionaires. And if I'm able to be that stepping stone for you, then by all means, allow me to be that stepping stone. If you got the question that you wouldn't ask an employer, but you want to ask me, reach out. If there's something about the housing market out in Tempe, Arizona that you're like, Dan, I'm not too sure, let me Google it. Let me get that information back to you, because at the end of the day, what's going to resonate and stick in your mind is that, oh, Daniel Umstead helped me out. Oh, who's Daniel Umstead? Google Daniel Umstead. And then that's where I'll become famous. So yes, reach out to me via danielumstead.com, or shoot me a text, 609-351-3975. If you do shoot me a text at the wrong portion of the time, I will have the future missus respond back. And I don't think she will like it, or you will like a 3:15 a.m. response text. So
Right, right. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And those all those links and your cell number will be in the description of whatever you're listening or watching this on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. So you can make sure and check out Daniel's website from that. And I would imagine you're on social media as well. What's your favorite platform that you tend to gravitate towards?
I will say I am on TikTok, but that's like 10
Okay.
followers. Um,
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me, if you send me a friend request, and Kale knows this, I will ask to connect with you and
Yeah.
set up a time where we can connect. Instagram is going to be the same way. And these are all either in some way, fashion, form, Daniel Umstead or Daniel.Umstead. And then, of course, on LinkedIn, I want to say LinkedIn is the primary one, only because my job made it easier, because we utilize LinkedIn on a day-to-day basis. So.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And links to Daniel's socials will be in the description as well. That is really neat. Thank you for joining me today. I have one last question because I ask this of all my guests, and I think it's so fascinating to get different perspectives on this. The difference in the business sense, the difference between a manager and a leader. Can you expand and give us your thoughts on that? Maybe an example or just kind of how you think through those two terms?
Absolutely, absolutely. So your manager is somebody that is just signing your check and not caring about your growth. They are there to be your boss and be your boss only. That can get extremely toxic, and me and Kel actually talked about this before. Your next job, you need to make sure that you have that leader. So with my current job, they're laying out a blueprint for us as far as growing. They're letting us know what it's going to take to get to that next level, what it's going to take for you to climb the ladder, if you will. If you're not at a job, or if you're not with a group organization that's not providing that, then you do not have a leader there. I'm sad to say. But if you're happy with your manager making, I don't know, $400,000 a year, and you're stressing out every single week, or you're working endless hours, knock yourself out. But if you're looking for that growth, you need to be working for a leader, or I should say, not working for, working with a leader compared to working for a manager.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you started off with the difference between somebody that's interested in your growth versus just making sure you show up to work when you're
Yeah.
supposed to. I think is kind of what you were leading towards that. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. That's really fascinating. That and very in depth with your definition of leader, because I really like that you spoke to a leader, somebody that not only inspires you and pushes you and encourages you, but they show you the path. Like, hey, you want to do great things in this company, whether it be a corporate type setting or whatever that is, but this is the pathway, and it could be the pathway they took, or that's just they're lending their experience to help you with your growth. So that's really cool. I like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Any last tidbits you want to throw out there?
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't already, read, listen, copy word for word, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Highly recommended book. It is a mindset shift type of book. You will understand your purpose in life after the first chapter. So take advantage of that book. It's free on YouTube. The PDF is like all over the world. And if you are looking
library,
if you're looking for other books to read and don't feel like going to the library but don't mind downloading, go to pdfdrive.com, look for your favorite book. There's about 90,000 titles in there. I think probably like half of them are already self-help and self-development, or even those thinking books like the Odyssey. That's something too. But the average millionaire reads, I think, 2 to 3 books per month. So there's your formula. You want to be rich? There you go.
That's cool. Thank you for that. I'd actually hadn't ever heard of PDF Drive, so thank you. I will check that out.
Instagram. Thank Instagram, Kale. I was scrolling through probably when I should have been working. But anyway, scrolling through and they had put up, it was a few links, and I just remember PDF Drive, and it was saying like, if you don't feel like going to Amazon to purchase books, you can download them here. And I'm like, what? There's like, you can actually save the books, the ones that you like for later on, if you don't even want to download them. There's a fee if somebody wants to, get the Prime Diamond membership, and then they'll keep your files all together there. But if you don't mind downloading the book and then just deleting it, then it's up to you. But it's all free.
Yeah. No more excuses, right? Yeah. No more. Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear the day that you get your acceptance letter into Rutgers Law. That's going to be amazing.
You're on the list, Kale. You are on the list.
And your upcoming wedding, what you've got, well, probably by the time this comes out, you're going to be pretty close to being married by the time this comes out and gets published between when we're talking now. So future congratulations on the new missus. That's incredible. Yeah. I wish you guys all the best and a happy life.
Yes.
All right, man. Thank you for joining me today. It has been my absolute honor and blessing to get to kind of sit at your feet and hear all the amazing things you've got going on, hear your mindset and just how your thought processes work and how you incorporate your goals and serving people. It's incredible to get to know you, Daniel. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely, man. It was an honor and pleasure here.
All right, everybody. This has been the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast with my amazing guest, Daniel Umstead. And remember, no matter where you are at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.